Hey guys, this is Versus Z bringing you a video review of High Grade Reborns Gundam. This is the High Grade Reborns Gundam. Now, a bit of a foreword before I continue on with the review. This review is only for Reborns Gundam. There's no Reborns canon or anything like that. I won't do any transformation, nothing like that. I'm just going to focus specifically and only on Reborns Gundam. That doesn't mean I'm not going to review the Reborns canon. I will have that video edited and everything. So if you guys want to see that video, just go ahead and shout it out in the comments below. I'll go ahead and upload the video depending on how many of you guys want to see the Reborns canon review. So with that being said, starting off with the model kit itself, it was released in 2009 and retail for 1800 yen, which translates to about 22, 24, 26 US dollars at current exchange rates. I bought this guy locally, so he was just a little bit more overpriced than $26. But I'm gonna tell you, it's all worth it. So let's get to talking about some of the details of the kit itself. For a quick size comparison, I want to bring in my high grade O Gundam. It should be a model kit that a lot of people have. So you guys can get the height difference, the idea of just how badass this model kit looks. If you look closely, the Reborns Gundam, not counting the shoulders, head height wise, it's about a head of almost a full head taller than your typical sized 1:144 scale model kits. So yeah, there you go. Aside from that, this continuing on with the looks of the kit, man, this kit, or the design overall, it just looks very badass, very imposing. It's for me, it's one of the key selling points of the kit. It's just the overall design of it. Even the backpack here with the fangs just kind of sticking out. Most of the red that you see is like on the back. You get a little bit from the front, but mostly white. You get yeah, just a little bit of red, just enough to just enough to show a little bit of color differentiation here, or color separation rather. And speaking of colors, out of the box you get red, white, this pale yellow, some gray for like the frames and weapons and stuff, and then a few clear parts which you do have to paint, and I'll talk about that in just a second. You do get a sheet of foil stickers, and you get plenty of foil stickers provided to fill in some of these gaps, like what you see in the front skirts, the thighs, and the body. You also get some stickers for the chest vents. You get stickers for the yellow parts of the back skirts. You also get stickers for both the eyes of the Reborns Gundam and the Reborns cannon head, and of course the sensors on the Reborns Gundam and cannon head. Anything else besides that, I can't really remember. So let's get to talking about some of the paints. Obviously, I didn't use any stickers except for the eyes and sensor for both the Gundam and cannon head. But for the panels, I used some gray Gundam marker, paint marker. The yellow I made myself. I didn't quite replicate the exact yellow, this pale yellow, and the back skirt it's even worse. I tried though, but I just didn't quite get it right. But anyway, I painted the yellow on the back skirts and on the chest, also on his face, like his little eyebrows and the cheeks. You know how like the 00 Riser has, or the 00 Gundam at least, has the white faceplate and the gray cheeks, or the gray side trim. This one has yellow instead of gray, so I went ahead and did that too. Just to point out the pieces that are actually molded in the pale yellow. This piece, the knees, these forearm pieces, and these little yellow ones on the shoulders. So those are all separate pieces. That's cool. Also painted a little bit of silver plate. I don't know if they make this marker anymore, but you get a little bit of silver plate on some details here on the knees, which you guys will see when I move around the articulation. I also did a little bit of detailing inside of the rib. You can kind of see it right there. I also applied some plated silver underneath the clear purple here. I'll explain why later on. Some silver plate on those pieces on the fangs, and also on the thruster there. So that should be about it. And there's also some silver plate here behind the shins, and you guys will see that in the Reborns canon review if we choose to go ahead and upload that. But other than that, there's also a little bit of clear orange that you have to apply on the clear piece for the beam saber, or you can use any color you want, but I went ahead with orange because I thought it worked better. For the clear purple, you have to mix. You have to create your own clear purple. The way I did that was I went and used some Tamiya clear, some Tamiya red, and some Tamiya blue. It was a while ago that I made this kit, and it was a while ago that I also painted it, so I can't really remember the proportions of the paint, of the amount of paint that I used to create that purple. But basically, I want to, I guess, explain how I got this effect. You can kind of see this jewel kind of gradiency effect. It's pretty easy. It's the same technique I use on most GN condensers that I've done in the past. Basically, you want to take the parts tree, mix up your color first. You want to take the parts tree, flip it over so that way you apply the paint on the inner side of it. Make sure the paint's thin still, and then as you let the paint dry, you let it dry upside down, so that way the paint, while it's still thin and it's kind of drying up, it'll drip down towards the edges and kind of form deeper panels within the edges of the piece. So it's kind of like a wash, sort of like a wash technique, sort of. But in the end, you get that gradiency effect, and it shows a lot better when the light hits directly on it. And you guys have seen it before on a lot of my GN condensers that I've done, like on the Exia Repair 2 back a while ago. Same idea here. It just works out different and looks different and looks better because you have edged pieces rather than just a half circle. So yeah, that's basically the I guess technique to that, and the first time I'm actually publicly sharing that with you guys. As for any other paint applications, that's pretty much it. There's also some gray underneath the feet, just for a little bit of detail, and just a few areas here and there, just for, just to make sure it looks complete. Like inside the shoulder pads, it looks completely naked without it, and then some here on the forearms, and that's pretty much it. So I want to talk about articulation now. This guy has quite a bit of articulation, and it's really nice. You have the double jointed or double ball jointed head, so you can get this head to rotate in all kinds of directions. I like it because you can get the angry Gundam look, and this is perfect. This design is perfect for the angry Gundam look. You have your shoulders or your arms can rotate all the way around pretty much. It's kind of on a hinge, so you can go in and out a little bit, and that's for transformation. You have a bicep swivel, you have a hinged elbow, only bends at one point, a little bit under 9 degrees. You also have a forearm bend at the yellow piece and a forearm crunch at the white piece, which gives you more of a bend. It looks very, very awkward from the side, but usually when you have the shield on and you want to get a particular kind of pose, you just have to pretty much use every single thing that you've got. And I'm going to point out something about the forearm rotation here and why I appreciate that it's there. It has to do with how you mount the shield, and of course ball jointed wrists. The arms themselves can go out of the body about that far, and what I like about the shoulder pads or the shoulder armor is that this piece is separate from this piece, so you can kind of get more of a flushed effect from using these two independently, so that's really cool. You also have some torso articulation, kind of backwards and forwards because of transformation, and then the waist itself can rotate all the way around without no obstruction from either the front, back, or side skirts. All the skirts are attached via ball joint. The side skirts are attached with the polycap ball joint. The front and back skirts I think were molded together, but you can easily separate them. So you can move these up as far as they can go. And the legs, I'm going to move this leg because this one's getting loose. It's not the kit's fault, it's my fault for, this is my 7th take, so I've used this leg most of the time and I don't want to wear out the polycap, and I can already feel it wearing out. So the leg can kick out forward about that far, same amount backwards because really there's nothing blocking the way. Same amount backwards, even farther really. You can kick out of the body that far. You have a double jointed knee bend, and watch this part here. So some armor shifting there, and there's a plated silver that I was talking about earlier, and the knee can bend both ways because of transformation, so that's just one way. And then the feet are on 2 ball joints, or the ankles are on 2 ball joints, so you can get these to go in all sorts of directions. So you get plenty of articulation. The only thing that's missing is the fact that it doesn't have the separate waist joint here like most 00 Gundams have in the high grade line. It sounds like it's disappointing because it doesn't have that, but it really doesn't need it. It doesn't, just because you don't have the separate waist joint, it doesn't mean you can't get the Reborns Gundam to pose in the way that you want it to pose. And I guarantee you'll still be satisfied with the amount of articulation that's given to you. Now that's just the body for articulation. The backpack, or rather the back itself, these two attachments for the wings, they go on the back via polycap ball joints, so you can get them to rotate a little bit, wiggle, move up and down. You get them in all kinds of positions. These two pieces themselves, they're on their own polycap hinges as well, so you can get those articulated anywhere you want them to be. These fangs or funnels, you can rotate them easily and they can come off. I think they're supposed to come off just for display purposes. You can't really there's nothing included with the kit that you could use to display the fangs or funnels kind of deploying. The only way I can think of you could do that is if you had something like a Tamashi Stage Act, and then you can just take one of these and clip them on, and then you'll be able to display the fangs floating around. So you also have a thruster back here, and the thruster itself, which is also painted plated silver, it's got a little bit of wiggle to it. So there you go. That's it for articulation. Oh, and of course the beam saber handles can tilt up and down. So there you go. That's it for articulation. So you get plenty of articulation on the body. You got some playability on the backpack too. So like I said, there should be no reason why you can't get this guy to pose in the way you want him to be posed. So now his accessories. You already saw the beam saber handles, so I'm going to show you those first, so they can come off their posts. And the interesting thing about the beam saber handles is that, very much like the O Gundam, where you have the beam saber handle with both the Season 1 and Season 2 kind of port in it, this one's got the same thing going on. So you can basically use a Season 1, Season 2, a master grade beam, just so you can give them like a bigger beam, and a 1 to 100 scale no grade beam, same reason, so you can give them a bigger beam. So that's cool. That's some pretty cool playability there. And just post that back there, and he can hold the beam sabers very well because the handles themselves are pretty solid and thick shaped. There we go. And you guys saw the beam effect part earlier. You only get one. Next thing is the beam rifle. I'll put you over here for a second. There we go. Next thing is a beam rifle. You also have some clear purple that you need to apply right there. I didn't notice that until I looked carefully on the manual, some line art and some photos. So I noticed that kind of last minute, and I went ahead and added whatever paint was left and just put it on there. Also a little bit of plated silver on here. You have this piece which is movable, and that's only for articulation, but it does help in attaching the rifle onto his arm, and then the handle wiggles a little bit. So you see this peg here, it just goes into the forearm, or I guess underneath the wrist. And since the pegs and the holes are the same size, you can pretty much switch them either left hand or right hand, whichever you prefer. And it fits in there very securely. It's not going anywhere. Next thing is the shield. Next thing is a shield. So it comes molded in red and white. All the gray you see there, you got to paint that too, especially underneath there. I think this piece here is a separate piece, and then you put the white piece over it, so that way you still have room to paint the gray underneath there. And then it has a gimmick where you can open and close these side fangs. And of course it's a little bit rough because I painted it underneath it. So there you go. It looks better that way. Now back to why I like having articulation here in the forearm, because typically you're supposed to peg the shield underneath, and then that's how the Reborns Gundam holds it. But for those of you who like your shields mounted off to the side like this, just rotate the forearm to the side. The hole now is on the side instead of behind. Rotate the wrist, basically. Oh, come on. Rotate the wrist, and then you peg the shield on the side, and there you go. You can now have the shield mounted off to the side rather than behind, and you still have some elbow articulation. You can't use this one now because it's bent to the side, but it's something you can do for just for display, I guess. And the poly cap is getting loose, and that's pretty much it. He's got a great look overall to him. If anything, though, if anything I have to complain about this kit is the fact that you have to put some work in it. I don't know if you guys have seen out of the box pictures. Well, you have to. There's an image of an out of the box Reborns Gundam, and it looks horrible. Like, without any stickers, without any kind of paint applications, whether it's a Gundam marker or a Gundam lining marker, it looks horrible. You have to at least use a lining marker at least.
Why didn't you say anything?
You got to paint some of the clear pieces, well, most of the clear pieces, like the beam saber. You can paint that in any clear color that you want, but the thing is, with the clear purple, that's something you have to make, I think, yourself. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's a official clear purple made by Tamiya, or I think any other paint company. There might be, I'm not sure, but you know, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, that's something you got to do by yourself. So like I said, if anything, the paint application and just cosmetically, that would probably be the only thing that one person would complain about. It's not, I'm not saying I complain about it, but it could be one thing. Other than that, this thing poses amazingly, and the accessories that you get with it, you get pretty much everything. And some people might be put off by the fact that you can't pose the fangs or the funnels, and that's really only something people with extra accessories, and you know, it's going to cost a little bit more, but that's only something people with extra accessories can really fully utilize and take advantage of. So that might be another thing that people might complain about, but it's a very, very small complaint. Everything else, I have nothing to complain about this model kit, none at all. It's a great model kit overall. I definitely recommend it to anyone, especially fans of the 00 high grade line. And model kit builder wise, I think if you're trying to get into mixing colors, trying to get into mixing colors, I think this would be a great kit, because you got to get the right shade of purple. I mean, yeah, right shade of purple, right shade of yellow, and you just got to make sure everything's accurate. And even if you don't, then you know, you still end up with a very solid high grade model kit. And I think the only thing that would make this kit better is if there was a master grade release. That's pretty much all I have to say about this model kit. It's great overall. It's wonderful. I enjoy it, and I still do, even though his legs are getting loose, and that's my fault. So yeah, that's my review for high grade Reborns Gundam. Remember, if you guys want to see a high grade Reborns canon review, just let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.